Hey everybody! Welcome, fellow freaks, geeks, and today, Kat's Peeps, because I'm joined again by my friend Kat, who appears on my channel from time to time.
Hey!
Hey, you're here live in person. We're in my lair once again.
Yes, this is one of our favorite places to chat, in the lair.
I love the lair, and I love that you nicknamed it the lair. I did not nickname my own room the lair. Kat did. That would be kind of weird if I was like, come into my lair, and if it was me doing it. That'd be a little weird. I'm glad it was you. Alright guys, so I also want to welcome you guys to the lair because you're getting a glimpse of it. It's kind of, spookified and Halloweenified a little bit. I forgot to turn on my bat lights, but I've got some bat lights back there. But enough about the decor and the environment that we're in. Mm-hmm. We're here today to talk about some specific things and then some fun general things. But the specific things we're talking about today are the movie Silver Bullet and the book Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King. I'm wearing my Stephen King rules shirt, so yay! Very excited. So, Silver Bullet is the movie based off of the book, or it's really more of a novella length.
Yes.
It's very short. So here it is. This is what it looks like. And it's got some amazing illustrations, and we're going to jump all into that very soon. But first, Ken and I kind of want to update you guys on what we've been up to for October, because it's spooky season officially. We're very excited.
We love October.
It's the best time of the year.
And we love Halloween.
We do. This is Halloween. This is Halloween. Literally all month long. That's like my mentality. This is Halloween every single day of October. Even though technically it's not Halloween. But every day is Halloween to me.
Yes, every day is Halloween for
especially
us.
In October. All right. So, Kat, what have you been up to this October?
Well, I have started watching some of the movies on my Halloween marathon list, and I've gotten to 4. I've watched Aftermath. I've watched The People Under the Stairs. Also, a classic horror story, which was truly a horror story. And House on Haunted Hill, the 1959 version. How about you?
I know there was a specific reason you watched that movie, isn't there? There's some big news Kat has.
I have some big news. I really do. I tried out for a play in August and got a call back, but didn't actually get a role. And I wasn't super sad about it at the time because I had a conflict for one of the weekends that it was going to open. I'm actually going to see the Psychedelic Furs in New Orleans. So I still wanted to try out for the play because I wanted to see what it was like to audition at the Columbia Theater in Hammond. And so I did. And since I didn't get the role, I said, well, not a big deal because Kelsi and I have tons to do during October.
Tons.
Yes. Lots of books to read, lots of movies to watch, a lot of thematic things to do. And so I just went on with life. Well, believe it or not, Kelsi and I hung out Saturday of last week, did a lot of thematic stuff for our marathon. Well, for our fun list, basically.
Yeah, basically. And if you guys haven't seen it, I will link it afterwards. After this live chat has gone off, I'll put it in the description because we had a lot of fun. It was a great day.
It was a blast. It really was. And it was a great way for us to kick off October and, doing thematic Halloween-related activities. Well, anyway, Sunday rolls around, and I got a text because I was offered a role if I wanted it because someone dropped out of the play. And the weekend I had a conflict was no longer a conflict for them because they're actually opening the play Halloween weekend. Go figure.
So you got a part after all.
I got a part after all. It's going to run 3 weekends. And what's so funny about this is that I had put going to see the play as one of the items that I hoped I'd be able to do for my Halloween fun list if I had time.
So now it's like way more than just going to it. It's a whole month-long, extreme commitment. But it's exciting. Congratulations, Kat.
It is. And I get to play the role of Mrs. Slides, who is a creepy old lady who happens to be a caretaker at the house. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm already having fun. I've only gone to rehearsals for the first week, this past week, and the cast is great. The director's awesome. Stage manager is just wonderful, and they've really, welcomed me, and I'm excited.
And it really does fit in with, like, the Halloween season,
Yes.
since it's kind of like a more spooky type of play. It's not just a regular play.
Right,
So
and
fits in.
it was a little bit of disappointment about the timing of when the play was coming because, and the fact that I had, a commitment that, the original weekend, because I was like, this would be perfect for the holiday, But I don't know, the universe just,
It was like, you're going to do this play.
Yeah.
That's what the universe said.
Yeah, so I'm very grateful to the universe out there.
It's awesome. It's going to be so cool. And I'm going to go try to see Kat in the play. That should be a lot of fun. And it'll be thematic, especially if I go, like, Halloween weekend.
Yeah, if you can go Halloween weekend, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it would fit right in. So you've watched a couple movies. I have also started my movie marathon, and I'm it's a mix of pleased and disappointed, some of the films. But I am officially, after what we just watched, because we literally just watched Silver Bullet together right before we just decided to go live and stream. So that would be, I think, my 9th film I've watched. Yes, 9.
What?
Actually, wait. No, 10. Yes, 4, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's 10. 10 movies I've watched so far. I'm really making good progress.
Well, you are the beast.
As soon as, like, October hits, really the first day of fall, I really go into beast mode in terms of, like, media absorption, like, watch movies. And now I'm reading books. I have read stuff, too, so far. I will name what I read soon. But in terms of movies, what I've watched so far is Malignant. It was entertaining, but I know a lot of people really hyped it up, so it didn't live up to the hype for me, but my dad loved it. My dad liked it more than me, I think. Paul thought it was decent as well. I also watched a short Disney fun little, I guess it's like a mini movie, it's not like a full-length movie. It was called Mr. Boogedy. Very cute and very appropriate for this time of year, but not scary, but just fun. Then The Stuff, which was gloriously corny, something that I think you would not like. It was there were some parts that were questionable in terms of editing and acting and everything else you could question about a movie.
It was probably pure corn.
It was pretty corny, but I loved it. Like, when, like, there was some cool effects, though. We'll say practical effects where, like, goo was coming out of faces and stuff. Goo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
great.
So, not corn, like, on screen, but goo. But still corny atmosphere. Then, one of my favorite films I've watched for the marathon so far, We Are Still Here. Amazing, like a haunted house type of story, but eerie. Truly gave me goosebumps. It scared me. Then here comes the disappointment right here. So, The Black Coat's Daughter, which has to do with, like, evil spirits and stuff. I thought it was so slow. It was definitely atmospheric, but just way too slow. 1922, I'm not going to say too much about it because you still have to watch it. So, I thought it was a really good, like, it was faithful as hell to the novella. Because we both read the novella at the beginning of the year. So that's why we put 1922 on our list. It's also a Stephen King story made into a movie, just like we're talking about today. So that was appropriate to have on our list. Then I watched Creep, which I loved the ending, but the rest kind of left me wanting more. It was creepy, hence the name Creep, but not in the way I expected going in. But I'm gonna wait and see what you have to say about it once you watch it.
It's on my list.
And then I rewatched. This is one of my favorite things that I've watched so far this year. It was a rewatch for me. Something Wicked This Way Comes, which I just read the book. That is, obviously this movie's based off of the book. The book was great, but I forgot how much I love the movie. The movie has such heart and such, I don't know, October feels. It's wonderful. Really, really well done. It's a great adaptation. I think it's super faithful, and it actually is really, really easy to understand, because the book sometimes is, like, really over the top with its language, whereas the movie kind of whittles all that down, and it really presents the story so that it's right there, you can understand it pretty easily. Then I watched A Classic Horror Story, which Kat also watched. I loved it personally. It doesn't have good reviews.
Really?
Yeah, I looked up on Letterboxd. Like, if I look at it right now, I will tell you.
I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I wonder if just people don't get it.
Well, that's Paul. So I watched it with my boyfriend Paul, and he's like, I don't understand it.
Right.
It was a lot for. I thought the gore was there, the creepy visuals were there. We can't say too much about it, but it was awesome in my opinion. I thought, okay, yeah, it feels like it's a good horror movie. Like, it's got this, it's got a lot of things going for it. and a crazy end. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, yes.
So, Letterboxd, on their rating system, it's a 2.8.
Wow.
So people mostly give it in the 2 range. That's surprising to me. I liked it. I would have given it like a 3.5, 4.
Yeah.
It was entertaining. It was different.
It was different.
But also alike other films, too. It played up on tropes, but was different at the same time.
Exactly. And I think and I'm almost wondering, are people giving it a full chance? Like, are they starting to watch it and then abandoning it because they think it's
too much like other things? I don't think so. I think it comes from the end and people being like confused. I think that's where the low rating comes in, and you guys will have to see it to know what we mean, because we don't want to give anything away. But I had a good time personally. I'd love to know what other people think, only if they don't give away spoilers in the comments.
Please no spoilers.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for anybody else who hasn't seen it.
Because it's really the kind of movie, if we're going to discuss our movies, it's going to be very short, because anything that we really would say about it is going to give away.
Yeah, we'd have to do like a spoiler standalone review if we wanted to talk about that one at length at all. Because, otherwise you can't really mention anything about what happens.
That's kind of like the movie Aftermath that I saw. You know, you really can't talk much about it. About all I can say is part of the movie is based on facts of something that happened in real life.
And that's disturbing.
And disturbing. It is disturbing. And then
I'm asking because I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it is disturbing. And the other half is, just made up.
Well, that's interesting. So, maybe I'll have to watch that next year.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out and see what I think about it.
Because that will be another one I can't really say much about.
Yeah, so then I'm going to base my own, opinions on watching it. I'm going to have to watch it. All right, and my final film I watched, of course, today, Silver Bullet. Yeah. And I got to say, that one, it was, so far, the last movie, High Note. I really loved it. So let's get into, since we kind of talked about what we've done, I'll mention some of the books we've read at the end and stories we've read at the end of our chat. But let's get into the discussion on this awesome movie and the book it's based off of. So we just watched it. It's fresh in our minds. Kat graciously took some notes so that I could just veg out and be lay back while she's doing all the work. Poor Kat. Thank you for doing that, though, because I'm sure there'll be a lot that I will forget to say. But overall, the mood was really great. There's quite a lot of differences between the short book that it's based on and the movie itself. Lots of differences in terms of time period, in terms of the length of time the movie takes place over. The book takes place over a whole year, and I kind of like that for the book. But I'm glad the movie did what it did, because it couldn't really, I don't think it could have done it as well as the book did. It was more concentrated amount of time, and also, you mentioned some interesting differences about how it was really character examination heavy versus wolf heavy.
Yes, I mean, I think the book is more concentrating on the werewolf, whereas the movie is concentrating more on the characters and the relationships between the characters.
Right.
One little note that we should give them out here is that Stephen King wrote the book, but then he also wrote the screenplay for the movie. So while Kelsi and I were watching it, I mean, we had talked about, hey, it's almost like he wanted to further develop what he didn't put in the book. That's kind of how I felt about it. It was almost like he could delve into the characters a little more on screen than he did in the book. And
that shows up a lot, because I feel like the uncle especially that character is way more fleshed out. And of course, the main boy character we have, who is in a wheelchair, and it's also different in the book. In the book, he's just in a normal wheelchair.
Yes.
In the movie, they make a cool little motorcycle, and it's called Silver Bullet. So the meaning of the name of the movie has 2 meanings.
Yes, it sure does.
Obviously, you use a silver bullet to kill a werewolf, and also he's riding in a cool little wheelchair called, or nicknamed by him and his uncle, Silver Bullet. Whereas in the book, it's just about actual silver bullets. It's very just descriptive. It's no wheelchair called Silver Bullet. So I kind of like that difference, too.
Yes, I did, too. And it also goes back to the relationship, because the uncle is the one who makes the motorcycle for
and it deepens their relationship.
Yeah, it does. It does deepen his relationship, because one of the other things is that I find that the uncle in the book was a little more distant. He was a guest. He and Marty got along really well, but it's almost like business took him away in the book, whereas he was a little more present, in a lot of the family. Even though he was having personal problems, he was a little more present in the relationship with the family than he was in
Yes.
the book, in my opinion.
I agree with you, and like it's just like I kind of referenced, fleshed out, just way more in depth of a character. You get to know him a lot more. He is a big-ish character in the book, but it's just not fleshed out like it is in the
Right.
movie. And I love that it's King who's doing this fleshing out of his
Yes.
own story.
Yes, of
it's
his own
him
characters,
writing
yes.
it. It's him expanding on the universe. I love that because it's like faithful to his original concept because it's him doing it. So I
Exactly.
thought that was special.
Well, and then also too, what I liked is the fact that the uncle in both the book and the movie kind of give Marty more credit. It seems like everybody's trying to baby Marty because he's in a wheelchair, or it always seems like the sister's always bringing up about how he's always getting his way, because he happens to be handicapped.
Yeah.
Whereas, the uncle, says that, there's more to him.
Yeah, I love that. There's a conversation between the uncle and
the
the
mother,
mom
yeah.
in the movie, and it's really powerful because he says, all you think about when you think about Marty is like, putting him in the bathtub, putting him in his chair, putting him in his bed, putting him in his chair. There's so much more to him than that. So they're having like a little argument about it.
Right.
And I thought that was powerful. Like that's not in the book at all.
Well, and that's one reason I think it's great that he's the one that gives him the motorcycle. Because even though he knows he could get in a lot of trouble with the mother,
He doesn't care.
he doesn't care, and he's just like, and tells him, I love you, and I don't want anything to happen to you, so please be responsible, on this silver
And he
bullet.
doesn't, by the way. He doesn't be responsible.
He does
The
not.
kid, like a normal kid would, I guess, just runs off and makes trouble, and he almost gets killed by a werewolf. So hence the whole premise of the movie and the book we're talking about. I do want to take a quick pause to say hi to Deej Kirkby. How you doing, Deej?
Hey.
He's telling us hello.
Hello.
We're so glad you're here and watching. We appreciate you, and we appreciate everyone watching, whether you're watching live or after the fact. Thank you so much. We're happy to talk about King and also werewolves in general,
Yes.
which is something that I don't really watch a lot of or read a lot of werewolf-themed things. Do you?
I don't. I really don't.
Can you
I
recall
mean,
any like specific? I know my dad wanted me to watch the movie Wolf with Jack Nicholson. I don't think that's like a horror movie per se. It's more
no,
like a drama.
I don't think so. I mean, what is it? American Werewolf in London.
Oh, I love that
You
movie.
know,
Yeah.
I watched that. Also,
The Howling I watched last year, but I did not like
The Howling,
the movie too
yeah,
much.
I've seen that, but it was like a very long time ago. That's the one with Dee Wallace, correct?
I love Dee Wallace. I will clarify. It's not because of her that I don't like it. I love the end of The Howling. I love the transformation of the wolf in The Howling. There's just parts in The Howling I think are dragged out and ridiculous. Like there's the whole scene where he's like with the woman like around the fire. That part's so dumb. I'm like, oh my god, this is so stupid. And I felt so bad for Dee Wallace's character when that was happening. He's basically like cheating on her with
Right.
a werewolf woman. But anyway, yeah, I was like, no! But yes. So I watched that last year. So I guess I did watch something kind of recently that's werewolf related. And I've actually got a book coming. It's a vintage horror book, a paperback from hell I think it's called Moonsbane. So it's about like, I gotta look up the description, man. Space and werewolves. It's very strange, but it's gonna be awesome. Someone recommended it to me.
Oh,
So
okay,
they're like,
well,
you gotta check out this
it
book.
out and then tell us what it's all about.
Yes,
right?
and we've got Horror Gardener joining us in the chat. Hello. Appreciate you joining.
Hello.
We're just talking about werewolves and Silver Bullet, of course, the movie, and Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King.
Yes.
Which I do think it was a fun read. And, I mean, I kind of want to dip in between I don't think we have to stick to just movie or book. We're kind of going in between both. We're not giving any spoilers away, which would basically essentially be revealing who the werewolf is. We're not going to do that. So don't worry, guys, if you haven't seen the movie or if you haven't read the book, we will not spoil that. Because I think that's really a fun part to discover for yourself.
Yes, I do too.
If you haven't seen it. So, yeah, I mean, they really cast the villain in the movie really well.
I think so.
He looked really menacing and terrible and just off-putting. I just thought, like, the look of the villain was like, oh my god, you're creepy as hell. I don't even want to go near you as a human.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was really well done. But they really also cast, though, everybody else really well. Like, Corey
I
Haim,
know.
oh my god, he was such a great, like, actor in this movie. I mean, he's a great actor in a lot of movies he's in. It's just amazing how young he is, but how he really I don't know.
I think
did
he did
great with the
yes.
role.
I mean, he acted like a real child would act.
Yes.
I mean, there was no acting. Like, I mean, he played the role really well.
It wasn't like you were watching someone act or an overacting of the role. It was perfect.
To me, that's wonderful when you get lost in the story and you're not really paying attention to the actors. You're paying attention to who they're portraying.
The only part was at the end, though. So Gary Busey's in it as well, and he really did a good job.
Yeah, he's fabulous in this.
He is. But at the end, there are some really like slow reactions and crazy reactions that do make you laugh. But it added it.
Yeah.
It added to it for me. So Gary Busey at one part's like, I can't even do it. It's like this weird reaction. I can't even like. How would you do it? I don't know. It wasn't like tongue out, but it was like.
I almost wonder how many times they had to
look scared. I don't know. That's the director saying look scared.
The whole combination. It was like scared, bewildered, startled.
Slow motion, like have a fearful face but in slow-mo. Okay. I don't even know. And then he gets thrown around the room. This is not really spoilers. I'm not going to tell you what happens. Like, does he get hurt or not?
No,
but anyway,
we're not even going to.
He does get thrown, and it's great. Like, and it reminded me, so we have this chat up on my channel where we talked about this great movie.
Alone in the Dark?
Yes, Alone in the Dark. And there's a scene with a mailman who gets hit by a car and goes flying. Like, ridiculous flying, just from getting tapped. And he's like, oh, and then he's dead. We think.
It's one of your favorite scenes
ever,
I think, that we've talked about in a very long time.
It's so great, but this is what the Gary Busey scene at the end reminded me of the mailman from Alone in the Dark. So if you haven't seen Alone in the Dark, it's now available, I believe, on Blu-ray. We talked about that, I think.
Wow.
I would recommend getting it just for the mailman scene, really. Otherwise, I mean, it's pretty fun, but
it is fun. But we decided
movies.
we watched it for our slasher marathon. Mm-hmm. We have decided that it is not a slasher film.
Not in our opinion.
Not in our opinion. It does fall in that category for several lists that we've seen, but we do not. I mean, we agree that it does not.
Yeah, I mean, from all the things we've read about what technically makes a slasher, and most people's opinions, it doesn't fit for me.
No.
But it was still fun, like I said, and I would still check it out just to say you've seen it. And Donald Pleasance, or Pleasance, as you like to say, he's wonderful as well, and very zany. Totally different from his character in Halloween, like insanely different from that character.
You're right.
So that's I guess for me that was worth the watch alone, just to see his like stark difference.
Well, what is funny about it is he plays a psychiatrist in both.
I know, but they're like completely different psychiatrists. One's basically like getting high, and the other one is not. I'll let you decide which is which.
He was a hippie psychiatrist.
Yes, pretty much. That's what it seemed like, for sure.
But we also should mention Terry O'Quinn's in it.
Oh,
and
yes.
Terry O'Quinn is wonderful. I love him in Lost, and we also have seen him in The Stepfather. You saw him in Stepfather.
And you saw him in Stepfather, too.
Yeah, Stepfather, too.
So we also watched a couple of movies we had a holiday horror movie marathon where we chose different holidays and found movies that were based around the holiday. Mm-hmm. So Father's Day, for that, that's what we chose, was Stepfather. I chose one, she chose the second one, and it was a lot of fun. And like we said in that chat, I'll also link that afterwards on the description, but we talked about how we love Terry O'Quinn on that chat, too, because he's wonderful.
Yeah.
He's amazing. I love him the most in Lost, though. I gotta say, out of this, Silver Bullet, out of Stepfather, and Lost, it's gotta be Lost. But I'm biased.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite shows.
Lost is one of my favorites also. I mean, Terry O'Quinn is so young in Silver Bullet. So, I wish I would have had time to go and at least look in reference to when...
and what else he did around the same time.
Yeah.
Because I don't know for sure, but he's been in a lot of stuff over his career.
Yeah.
But it was great to see him here because we didn't actually realize he was in it until we were like right before we started the movie. You're like, oh, Terry O'Quinn's in it. I'm like, oh, great. Kind of added like an extra layer of excitement to the viewing.
And it had been so long since I've seen Silver Bullet that, I mean, I do remember Corey Haim being in it and Gary Busey in it, but I had not remembered.
And I will clarify, so for Kat it was a rewatch, as she just said, but for me it was a first time viewing, and I freaking adored it. It was great. It exceeded my expectations.
Yeah,
because I was like, how's it gonna be, you know?
It's now considered a cult classic, apparently. So.
According to Wikipedia, I believe it said. That's really interesting, but I could see why. And I know, so I was reading on Goodreads the other day, I read someone's review of the book it's based off of, Cycle of the Werewolf, and they said, they love both, but they do think that the movie is more, obviously, well-rounded and deeper. And that makes sense because you have more time. This is just such a short story. And I will say, this is kind of different from a usual Stephen King story, in that there's a lot of illustrations in it.
Right, and I had made a mistake when we were doing our readathon chat.
Yeah.
Talking about what we were going to read for our readathon. I believe I called it a graphic novel. It's not a graphic novel. It is a novella with illustrations.
I just think the illustrations are fantastic, and it really adds to it. My one criticism, and this isn't giving anything away or any spoilers or anything, one criticism of the book is really not of the writing at all, but it is of where the illustrations are placed. So that's more of like the layout of the book. I feel like sometimes you'll see an illustration on a page and the scene has not happened yet. So you're getting a glimpse ahead before you get to the text, and that kind of bothered me a little bit, but Kat avoided it. Kat has a smarter way to read with illustrations. Tell him, Kat.
I love illustrations in a book. However, when I'm reading, I like to be able to read the text first, and then I'll go back and I'll really look at the illustration where I can I find like if I stop and look at the illustration while I'm in the middle of reading the text, I kind of lose my momentum. So I like to be able to just go back and kind of look at it. And I didn't even realize until Kelsi mentioned, that that was one of the things that she didn't like how it was formatted. I went back to see and I said, yeah, that kind of gives away like the surprise.
Everything, like every surprise, I felt like I saw the picture. So if you do read this, in the future and haven't already read it, I would say kind of ignore the illustrations when you're on that page. And then maybe go back and glance at them. Maybe do what Kat did. But I do want to show you guys one illustration, which does not spoil anything. Some pigs get killed at one point, which I don't think is a big spoiler. But I just want to show you this great illustration. Wait a minute. If I can get it. So there's a pig's head right here at the top of this post, and just some slaughtered pigs. Like, oh my gosh, that's incredible artwork there. I really love the way everything was done, the style.
Yes, I do too. I loved how the book was formatted, where every month, you look at each month, so it's the full moon for each month, and either someone or something, gets killed. The illustrations are by a comic. Well, he's an artist actually, but he did do a lot of comic books early on in his career. His name is Bernie Wrightson. And he's passed away.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about him. I mean,
but
it's like 2017. But what we like about, his illustrations are wonderful. His actual first collaboration with Stephen King was on Creepshow, the comic Creepshow, and then that led him to collaborating on Cycle of the Werewolf, and then he did some other projects with King.
Like, I believe they said The Stand was one.
Yes, and then also it was one of the Dark Tower series. But what's really crazy is he was among some of the artists that provided concept art for one of Kelsi's favorite movies,
Ghostbusters! I had to say it. You set it up perfectly. Who are you gonna call? Anyway, so that's really neat, especially because at the time, some of the effects in Ghostbusters and some of the sets and stuff were revolutionary and very expensive too, by the way.
Yeah, it was supposed to be all the ghosts and some of the psychic phenomena. He was one of the artists on that, which I thought was really cool. Apparently he had a pretty stellar career as an artist. And just the fact that he was able to work with Stephen King.
Yeah, I loved the way he really captured. Sometimes his pictures were almost even gorier than the descriptions, but there is one description. I want you to read it, like the passage you wanted to get to, because there's this great scene with some descriptions where I think the descriptions, is the best part.
Well, before we talk about that description, the whole reason I asked you and told you about the description was because it was one of my favorite kills.
Yes.
I have to say, all of the kills in the book and the movie are pretty awesome.
Yes.
And it's almost kind of hard to pick a favorite, but the description of this kill was really awesome. So, do you want to say what your favorite kill was?
Can we also say movie kill too?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I know we didn't pre-plan picking one out, but I can come up with one right now. So my favorite movie kill was when, like, and this isn't really a spoiler because it happens, like, right in the first 2 minutes. Some guy gets decapitated, like, with a swipe of a claw, like, very easily, and his head flies. It's wonderful.
I think you like the flying part.
What is with me and flying stuff? Like, if people fly across the room, I love it. If people fly across, like, the road on a bike, like the mailman, and it's just, like, dead, I love it. And if people's head flies across the freaking railroad, then I love it too, apparently. I don't know.
Actually, for the movie, I really did like the kill of the mean father.
Oh, that was great.
Because he pretty much gets impaled, and
yes.
That was pretty good.
That was a unique kill because it wasn't just about the wolf biting somebody or clawing somebody or ripping somebody. It was more. It was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I did. I like that.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And he deserved it.
Well, I just think when thinking about how he described, because he's, Stephen King's pretty descriptive and how he talks about, people, having unfortunate events happen to them.
Yes.
But this actually happened to Constable Lander Neary. And, they're all trying to figure out, how they're going to catch, the killer. And at this point, I don't even know if they're not really sure
they don't know
think it's a man,
if it's a beast, a man. They're kind of thinking it's a killer guy. And even though there's rumors of it being more, this sheriff guy does not believe it.
Well, and the thing about it is he kind of, at one point, they're even talking maybe because they've seen kind of like wolf tracks and stuff around, the kill scenes. And so, a comment was made that perhaps it's a man who's wearing, a costume or wearing a mask or whatever. So he is on his way home, and this is the description of what happens to him. His head is snapped around, and he stares into one green eye. He sees the fur, the black, damp-looking snout, and when the snout wrinkles back, he sees the teeth. The beast claws at him almost playfully, and one of his cheeks is ripped away in a flap, exposing his teeth on the right side. Blood spouts everywhere. He can feel it running down over the shoulder of his shirt, sinking in warmly. He screams. He screams out of his mouth and out of his cheek. Over the beast's working shoulders, he can see the moon flooding down white light. And so then he also, now, which is I think is incredible. I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping I never have to experience being about to be killed by a werewolf
or screaming through your cheek.
Right.
I don't want to experience that.
But
sure.
I just think I don't know what I would be thinking at that moment. I think I probably would be in shock and not thinking at all.
Yeah.
But apparently he has time to think, and it says he forgets all about how this thing is psycho. Bleep bleep logic. He forgets all about good police work. Instead, his mind fixes on something Kenny Franklin said in the barbershop that morning. Maybe it's some kind of disguise this fella puts on, like a mask and all, And so, as the werewolf reaches for Neary's throat, Neary reaches for its face, grabs double handfuls of coarse wiry fur, and pulls, hoping madly that the mask will shift and then pull off. There will be the snap of an elastic, the liquid ripping sound of latex, and he will see the killer.
But does it come off? Oh. No, that's a great passage. That's a great kill. So my favorite kill in the book, at first I had told you when you first asked me, I thought maybe the very first kill, because it happens like where some guy's like completely snowed in, which is completely different, by the way, from the first part of the movie, because it's basically the beginning of summer in the movie, where in the book, it's the beginning of the book is winter.
Yes, it's January.
Yeah, and it's like snowing. There's this big, like, basically blizzard, and this guy is snowed in a train. And I thought that kill was really great, especially because it was the first one. It was really impactful. But then thinking about it a little bit more, I think there's one that happens around Valentine's Day with this woman, and some of those descriptions are great because she's never really had, like, a lover, and so, like, she kind of goes in between talking about the wolf like it's scary and everything, but she almost kind of relates it to having a lover.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was so fascinating and interesting and such a weird way to write it, but a great and intriguing way at the same time. That was a great kill.
Yeah, it was a great kill, and
it was a great kill in the movie too.
Yes, and
not the same scenario.
Yeah, the scenarios are different, but I don't know. It's almost like, I wouldn't say it was really erotic, but it was just almost borderline.
I mean, for her in her mind, the way she was talking about it, like when you're reading her thoughts, it's like she's thinking of the wolf as her first lover. Almost. Yeah. That's what is really crazy about it.
And what it is she surrenders to it.
Yeah.
You know, whereas in the movie she does not surrender to it.
No, she's like, yeah, be scared. No, she doesn't have that crazy. Not Gary Busey.
No, Gary Busey has the market on craziest facial expression when being attacked.
Wonderful. So we talked a little bit about the kills and how there's a little bit of difference between the story of the movie and obviously the story of the book. One of the main differences is like the kid is just so fleshed out. Marty is so there in the movie. But I do want to reference that something about the book that's a little different is that the actual occurrences of the full moon are way inaccurate. But I like how Stephen King at the end of the book, he kind of calls attention to that.
Yeah, he addresses it because I mean, that's one thing as a writer. Writers will get called out if they're not staying true to events or
like factual
if
they're
information.
Like basically making science stuff up.
Even if it is fictional fantasy, people still get, the writers will still get called out for it.
So he was kind of trying to go past that and like cut them off.
Right, because apparently there are holidays that are are around the wolf cycle.
Literally, like moon. It was like July 4th, full moon. On Valentine's Day, the actual day, full moon. New Year's Eve, full moon.
Halloween.
Every single holiday had a full moon. He's like, I know this isn't real, but I took liberties.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I like how he said that.
I think it's great, and I think it's great that he put that in there so that people wouldn't be like, oh, come on.
Yeah. I mean, but maybe he should have put it at the beginning. Because I feel like people might be saying, oh, come on, as they're reading. I didn't care. But I think some people would have been like, there's no way there's this many full moons landing on holidays, ever. Ever. Luckily, I'm not like that, so. But I could see how there's some people who are sticklers for that type of thing.
Well, I mean, it's fiction. I mean, I don't really ever worry about it because it's fiction. To me, that's the whole point of fiction, is that it can be make-believe, and you get to take any liberty you want with, how you want your characters to be, or what kind of place you want them to live. I
like that. And as long as he says, I know what I'm doing, I think that's fair enough. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, overall, this is going to be a hard question. I didn't ask you about this beforehand. If you had to pick one over the other, these type of questions are terrible. What would you pick? What do you like better? Like, the movie or the book? I know it's really.
That question.
I know it's so different, but I gotta ask it.
It's two different mediums. I don't know. It's still I think you're comparing apples and oranges.
That's true, but I do think that if you just look at the story without the visuals, if you look at the screenplay versus, I just think it's so great that the movie's so fleshed out.
Yeah,
but I love the book. It's like two totally different experiences, like you said.
It is.
Apples
I think
and oranges.
So. I mean, I will go with the book. I mean, I love the book. But again, I can't really.
It's hard.
It's hard because
I'm trying to take away the acting because, like, I loved the acting. I thought they really brought it to life, and
you know what it is to me? It almost seems like you have the book, and then the movie is like the sequel,
right?
Even though it's not a sequel,
right?
It's like it just took it a step further. I think the book kind of lays the groundwork. You get into what's happening in this town. You're introduced to the characters. Whereas in Silver Bullet, the characters become more alive.
Exactly. They're way more elaborate. Like, the whole story is more elaborated in one. And I think this is a great comment in terms of the full moon thing. So my friend Tom, hey Tom, says, I always enjoy seeing what people call writers out for. Carrie's powers? Fine. Randall Flagg? Sure. Full moon cycle? Nah. Like, no, you can't do that.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love that.
It is.
That is funny. That is so true. Because Randall Flagg is so mysterious, because I just read The Stand, earlier this year, and I watched both adaptations of The Stand, and Randall Flagg is a little unbelievable. But, I've never questioned it, ever. Carrie, nah, didn't question that either.
No.
Full moon, I could see how someone would be like, science.
Yes, yes. It would be someone who wanted to make sure that you have their facts straight,
Yes.
with that. But, I mean, it makes it fun, for it not to be always so seriously taken, I think. But one thing I want to point out is that in the book, I kind of felt like the beginning of the story kind of read like a Twilight Zone episode. Can I share that?
Yes, please read it, because it screams like the opening narration of a Twilight Zone.
Well, for anybody who has ever watched the Twilight Zone, it always kind of opens up with a story, and so you get kind of like a little background or the gist of it. And Cycle of the Werewolf starts off pretty action-packed. I mean, you go into he sets it up where the person is located, and you have your first kill. And then all of a sudden, it changes in narration. And I have to share with you. It's when Rod Serling comes on and is going to give you some information.
Pretty much. That's what it is exactly
and before
like.
he says, and you're now in the Twilight Zone. Well, it says, something inhuman has come to Tarker's Mills. And unseen as the full moon riding the night sky high above. It is the werewolf. And there is no more reason for its coming now than there would be for the arrival of cancer, or a psychotic with murder on his mind, or a killer tornado. Its time is now. Its place is here, in this little Maine town, where baked bean church suppers are a weekly event. You have now entered the Twilight Zone.
I love that. That is so true, especially the part where there's no reason, for it more than cancer, more than this. Right. Yeah, its time is now. Yeah, like if you read its time is now.
Right.
That's exactly like it. It's great. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh my god, yes.
I mean, it doesn't read like that. The whole entire novella does not read like that.
No.
But when the beginning, that's just kind of how it made me feel. And you just wonder. Stephen King is really good to giving nods, to what influenced him, as a writer. And I wouldn't be surprised if, he had that in his mind.
I wouldn't be surprised either. And, there are definitely, people he really looks up to. I know I read recently in one of his books where he was talking about Ray Bradbury and Something Wicked This Way Comes. I was reading that specifically. And, there were parts, because their part takes place on Halloween. I was like, I wonder if, anything influenced him, because Bradbury's the king of Halloween. Yeah. I wonder if anything got influenced there, and I don't know. It was really fun. Mm-hmm. I could definitely see homages and stuff. We've got Dana joining us. Hey, Dana, how you doing? She's in our background. Yay! Like we said earlier, if you're just joining, we were talking about my lair and how we called this the lair. Yes, I've got some nice books up there. I've got one Halloween book right in the center there, Halloween horrors. So it's a little Halloweeny. I forgot to turn my bat lights on.
How dare you?
I know. We'd have a nice purple glow behind us if I had remembered, but oh well. But thank you for joining, Dana, and for the compliment on the background.
Yeah, I don't know. We might not want to glow. It might, summon the werewolf.
I know. It might be too moon-like.
Yes.
And then we'll be in trouble. But yeah, I overall had a wonderful time with both. So, the book, what did you give it in terms of star ratings?
Oh, 5 stars.
5
Definitely.
stars?
5 stars. And one of the things that I liked about the book, no woman, man, or child is exempt from the werewolf coming to get you.
Or animal.
Yeah,
because, he gets some animals.
Yes.
As I showed the pigs.
I don't like anyone to, perish. There is one person in there that was thrilled that perished. Just like in the movie, there was one person that perished that I was so excited about.
You got to have some jerks.
You do. You have to have the ones that have to be sacrificed.
There's a great scene in the movie where they're in that swamp. Well, it's like a forest, but then it gets, really foggy, and it almost feels like they're walking through, shallow water, but they're not.
No,
but yeah,
that was creepy.
It was really creepy. And then I wasn't expecting it because it's totally different than the book. The wolf actually starts getting people.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, in the forest. I was like, what is going on?
I know. Now, one thing I will have to say is how they filmed this. This film was in 1985, and apparently there are rules about when children do pass, in a movie.
There has to be, because they didn't show. There's a scene in the book where a child gets murdered, killed. In the movie, it's one of the only kills we don't see at all.
Right.
We not only don't see the kill itself, we don't even see the aftermath. We see like a shape in the background, and then we see the father of the child reacting.
Well, yeah, and that's really the only way we find out what happens is through dialogue.
Yeah,
you know,
like he got torn apart,
right.
and like his facial pain was really well done.
Yes.
That guy really did a great job. He had to carry that whole scene because you can't. They didn't show anything, so he carried the whole thing. I want to say hello to Juan, Plagued by Visions. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. He's been watching the whole time, but wanted to say hello.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this Saturday afternoon.
Yes. So, I think for the book, for me, I almost gave it a 5 stars, but I gave it a 4.5 and I rounded it down to 4 on Goodreads, or I'm going to round it down, I guess. I loved it, but I didn't, and this is unfair, though, because it's not about the writing.
Don't be unfair, Kelsi.
I know. It's like the placements of the illustrations bothered me so much. Like,
Hey,
stop
that wasn't Stephen
No,
King's
it wasn't
fault.
his fault. You're right. It kind of seems unfair now to give it lower because of that, but I've been giving a lot of 5-star ratings away. I mean, geez, I'm Pete.
Hey, but you know,
it is what it is.
It is.
I don't know. I'm gonna rethink this. I'm gonna dwell on this.
I'm gonna guilt her into changing her star rating.
Yeah, she is. She's gonna be like, give it 5. Give it 5. I love King. Well, he does rule, so
yes, he does.
Stephen King rules. But for the movie, I mean, I could easily give that 5 stars. I don't know why. It's so easy for me to be like, the movie's great. I'm a movie buff first and foremost. I mean, I love books, especially now, but growing up, it was always movies, never as much books. So, I don't know. I guess I'm always partial to movies. I don't know why.
Well, the movie
it's
is
horrible.
great. I mean, I would give the movie 5 stars. I mean,
it was so enjoyable.
The acting was, I thought, fantastic. I always like looking at, from an actor's point of view. I think they did an excellent job.
Nothing felt too forced except for some of the reactions of like the townsfolk. And I mean, Plagued by Vision says, agree with the best part of the film is the people freaking out. Like, yes, the people freaking out at different parts is so wonderful.
It is, but, I'm almost wondering if that was how direction was given back in the time. Because think about Alone in the Dark, for one thing. That was one of the things I did criticize about that movie.
You did.
Was that, and then also Sleepaway Camp was the same way. Where you had this, the event happened or the kill happened.
And they just stand still.
And they stand still and they just give you this weird facial expression, almost seemed like they shot the facial expression separately from the actual event or action that happened. That's what it seemed like to me. It was almost like it was not taking place at the same time because their reaction shots are not anything like what you would do.
But what was cool about Silver Bullet is when the scene in like the forest, I don't know, the foggy area occurs, and you see the people not doing anything and they're just reacting. The guy does say, I can't move. So to me, it's like, at least he calls attention to that he can't move.
I literally can't move, and my director said not to move.
Yeah. So to me, it makes more sense, at least in Silver Bullet, there's a reason. Like, he's so scared he can't move, essentially.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I do think for the time period it was shot, 1985, film has come a long way in what you can do with effects and all of that,
I will say there's some cool transformations. Now, not as good as some other, like you mentioned earlier, American Werewolf. I feel like that one is very applauded for its transformation scene where he changes into the werewolf.
But remember, we kind of talked about this. Stephen King really didn't want the wolf to be seen. He wanted him to be kind of out of sight and kind of like in the shadows, and there was a big, confrontation between him and I think it was the producer, perhaps, because they wanted it to be a little bit different. And Stephen King ended up winning on it. Now, of course, they do criticize him and say it looks like a big bear. Yeah. Like a black bear or something like that.
At points it did. Like, okay, remember when I pointed out the hand on the outside of, I don't know if it was climbing, I can't remember. But it, looked like a glove. Right away. It was like, that's a glove. Come on. That was not so great, that part. You gotta criticize that part.
I do like when he did rub his fingers against the siding.
He was taking his time before he, turned the power off. So another big thing about the wolf itself, about its the way it acted, is that in the book, it wasn't really aware of what it was doing until like the very end. Then it went after. It was trying to go after Marty, the character. But in the movie, it quickly, like for over half of the movie, it feels like the person that was with the werewolf knew what he was doing, knew how to accomplish it. He wasn't just killing random. It felt like he wasn't just killing random people, at least to me.
No, it seemed like he still had his mind of a man.
Right,
when
whereas
he was
in
the
the
werewolf.
book, not as much.
The book, that was a big difference. And it doesn't come easily to that person in the book, whereas I think in the movie, that person knows pretty early on what's going on. Now, one thing I have to say about both the book and the movie, we have no idea really, why this person becomes a werewolf, which is something I kind of would like to know. Like,
it's hinted at in the book. Like, I wish you could find it was something about, how did this even happen to me? Like, because it's basically, he's talking about, like, why and how it's not that bad, how there could be a reason for it, and then says something about picking flowers somewhere, and that there were strange flowers, and it felt like to them that it happened right then when he picked the flowers, because the flowers died instantly and became black as soon as he walked away. He even says something about, so in the book it's teased
does
that
it mean
magic flowers? I don't know.
Or was he in a could it have been Wolfsbane? Will that make you turn into a werewolf?
Doesn't that repel wolves though? I forgot how that works.
Isn't that something that a witch
I'm not
puts
a werewolf
in her brew?
expert. I'm not a werewolf expert at all, I will say. But I did want to backtrack real quick. I do agree with you. I would love to, have more of an explanation of why this person turned into a wolf.
I'd like an answer. I guess we will have to, create our own. But
in the movie, they told it like it's a big story, like a story from childhood. So one of the kids is telling a story like, back when I grew up, like it would have been a legend to someone who experienced it. So it was kind of told in that way to where the person telling the story wouldn't have known why or how. They even say within the story.
But there is a part where the uncle even asks, does anybody know, how he's become, a werewolf or whatever.
I guess it, wasn't as important to them to the story. They were like, let's concentrate on the characters, let's concentrate on, how they're going to deal with the problem, aka the wolf.
But I want to know, because if you could just turn into a werewolf, that means we have potential.
We do have potential. Is it good or bad? Kill some pigs. I don't know. Free pork chops. I don't know. Anyway. I don't know what I'm saying or doing.
She really didn't mean that for all you people out there that love pigs. I do too.
They're cute. They're little and squealy. Anyway, no. I do not want to eat pork chop. I mean, I eat pork chop. I don't want to eat them tear them up like a wolf. This is going out of control very quickly. I do want to backtrack about the transformation and say that there are you could compare it, like I said, to other films and be like, oh, it's not as great. And you could rag on some of the things like we talked about, like the suit, the bear. It looked like a bear, it looked like a glove. But I do think that the shot near the end of the film where the guy was turning from wolf to man, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I thought that was great looking.
I think
so it was almost like a de-transformation because he was going backwards. He was going from wolf to man. I thought that looked great.
Right.
Marvelous to me.
I agree.
And the face of the person, the face of the man, was really creepy. Yeah. As a regular man, because it was all, you gotta see it. It was like,
And we're not going to tell you who the man is.
No.
All. We're trying very hard not to. Don't say.
No, I'm not going to say. I'm saying, I feel bad because I said it was a man, but... I mean, I think people assume a werewolf is a man for the most part.
Yeah.
Except in The Howling, that one woman was a wolf, and the guy, that's why he slept with her. They were like, wolf, yeah. Animal instinct. I don't know. Oh no, Dana has a pet pig and he's offended. His name is Hamlet! Oh my god, Hamlet, I'm sorry. I love pigs. I do not want to hurt you at all, Hamlet, you cuties. I also want to read, this is pretty funny. She said during that scene where everyone's reacting, she said the director was probably like, okay, now give me scared. Now give me happy. Now give me werewolf is eating someone. And how do you even do that?
And then Gary Busey did all of it at one time.
And they used each one. They used each take. Yeah. I don't even know. It's different ones. And I like how, so he looks scared. There's a medium shot and he's looking scared. Then they show something else and then there's a close-up shot and he looks just it's slow-mo scared, as I said earlier. I wish I could play it for you guys. I could have grabbed it we watched it so, like, close to this live stream.
Right.
Usually I could have probably pulled that scene. I could have played it on Amazon, screen captured, like, video recorded on QuickTime, the scene, and just played you his face. I don't think I would have gotten flagged for that, but I didn't get a chance. I'm sorry, guys. I got to do it in a future thing.
It was funny. It was
great.
like a just a bunch of emotions.
And just like the head getting tossed, I love Gary Busey getting tossed around the room. Like, oh, he flies into a wall. He flies into another wall, literally just like the mailman.
Yeah, he was getting tossed around like salad.
He was tossed like salad. Dana says it's only awkward having a pet pig when you eat bacon.
Oh, yeah, that would be terrible. That really would be.
Bad. Yeah. Cutie Hamlet. That's such a cute name, too. It's perfect.
I know.
But yes, I loved both. What a great choice. I'm glad we did this.
I am too. I mean, and then to me, the fact that we were watching Silver Bullet, that was the whole reason I was leaning more towards putting the book, and then you added it to your list.
Yeah, I wasn't originally going to read this, because we had this prompt for one of our readathons about...
a monster.
Well, no, that's Cabal. That's the monster.
That's right.
This one's the 80s set one.
Yes.
And I could have picked anything. I mean, you guys know I love vintage horror, but once Kat said this... And I kind of looked it up, and I said, oh, it's short, for one, which I know I'm not anti-long book.
No.
But for this readathon, we're reading, like, 13 things. So I'm like, short story, short story, short story, or short book. It cannot be more than that.
I mean, I even have a picture book on mine.
Yeah, I mean, I have...
Thank goodness I did that, because with
books.
having the play...
I know.
Like, rehearsal every day for the next month. And
I don't know how you're going to read everything.
Yeah,
it's going to be crazy. Just do what you can do, as you said. But,
I am, but
yeah, I wanted to read Kill Creek, and it was like, there's no way. I mean, it's not even that long, but I was just like, with reading all these other prompts we created, there's no way. But this fit in perfectly.
Yeah,
I literally finished it within a week. Less than a week, really. I started this week, and I did it
within a couple of days. And, you know, one thing I thought was interesting is the book is set in the 80s, but the movie, even though it was shot in the 80s, was set in 1976.
Yeah, that was interesting. And we were commenting a lot about the clothes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's this one outfit where the girl, the sister of our main character, Marty.
Jane, her name is Jane.
Yeah, Jane. She is wearing, she's wearing a short sleeve shirt, and then over it, she's wearing like this short, no sleeve sweater.
Yeah, and her
like,
shirt,
like a vest.
Was kind of like a polo type shirt. And
it's like near summertime, apparently.
Yes.
Maybe it'd have been closer to fall at that point in the movie. But I was like, why is she wearing... Like, what does that do? If it's hot outside, don't wear the second layer. If it's cold outside, you've got no sleeves. I can't figure out, is she cold or hot? Or I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand why you would have that outfit. It serves no purpose in terms of controlling your temperature.
And we did see short shorts again, which apparently it was
on little kids.
Yes, was apparently the rage in the 70s.
It apparently was, because we watched things set in
70s and the early 80s. Yeah, early 80s.
And I will say, Dana says she loves the outfits, like old school outfits and stuff. Plagued by Vision says, I love cheesy 80s acting. I agree, that's me. That's totally me. Kat, she'll be a little more critical of that. Me, I'm like, hell yeah, give me freaking all the cheese and corn that there is. I love that. Horror Gardener says Kill Creek is awesome. I know. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I keep hearing how great it is, and I really want to read it. But there's no way. It would have fit perfectly. One of our prompts was about haunted houses. It would have fit. Just the length.
How many pages is it?
I got it right here. Oh, hold on.
Because that might be one that if we could ever put it up for a book club.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, I'm doing a readathon for next, and this is a spoiler, I guess, for my readathon. I'm going to try to release the prompts in the next 2 weeks or so, because I want people to be able to plan. So it's a nostalgic 90s November readathon, and all the prompts are based off of, like, very famous either 90s TV shows, 90s... there's one about a 90s book series, and then 90s movies. So one, I'm going to do something about, I'm not going to give away what the piece of media is, but it's going to be basically like, read something that's either set at Halloween or Christmas, and I could read that for that. So maybe for November we could nominate this, even though it does take place on Halloween. So how long is it? It is, oh god. See, look, it's long.
Yeah.
It's like 400. I mean, we could do it in a month. I'm just saying. It's long for this month. There's no way. 414.
Whew.
I know. That's why I gave up. I was like, there's no way. I'm not even going to try.
It might have to be a standalone book for you.
Yeah, I know. Well, our book club doesn't like to read long books. I mean, I don't know, that sounds very weird to say. They did read a longer one once, but they're scared of long books. They've told us.
Yeah, really long books, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like, we won't be reading it with them.
No, we are planning to read it. It'll be my third attempt. Not that I've disliked it. I didn't like reading back when I started it a long time ago. And I think I'm going to try audiobook. I think it'll help me a little bit, especially with the parts that I remember that I've already read twice. I'm going to,
Yeah, that's a lot of hours.
Mm-hmm. But I'm going to go quicker. I mean, you could do it while you're exercising. That's the beauty of audiobooks. I've discovered audiobooks, and they help. I'm listening to Cabal. That's one of the books we're reading, by the way, guys. Kat and I are also, like, we just both read this, Cycle of the Werewolf. We're both reading Cabal.
Yes.
And I'm liking it so far. How far along are you?
I have not even started yet.
Oh, I thought you started. I thought you peeked into it. I'm like 10 chapters in. It's great. It's a lot like the movie so far. Just spoiler alert, in my opinion.
It is, I will start. I'm going to start it this weekend.
You're going to read?
Yes, I'm going to read.
I mean, she's so busy. But that's admirable. Read. We're also going to read The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury, which should be fun.
Which I cannot wait to read that.
Yes.
Because I have not, and this is a true confession, I have not read anything by Bradbury, which is crazy to me.
Not even Fahrenheit 451?
No, it was never required for me in high school, never required for me in college. Neither one of my sons had to read it in high school.
That's surprising, especially because
college.
Barry's my age, and I had to read it.
Yeah,
it was required.
It's just crazy to me. So this is my first one, and I'm excited because it's supposed to be really Halloween atmosphere. Gives background on Halloween time. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I've got a special video coming out on another booktuber's channel. I don't want to give away anything, I guess. I feel like it would be good promotion to give away her video, like to give away the name of whose video I'm being in, but I won't do it, I guess. But I mean, I don't see why not. She's not keeping it a secret, I guess. Harpies in the Trees is asking a lot of booktubers to participate in this awesome video she has planned, and I read an excerpt from The Halloween Tree. Spoiler alert. I guess it does spoil what I'm doing. Like, it's not a surprise anymore, but I really liked how it came out. I decorated a tree while doing it, and
you did an awesome job.
Oh, you watched it? Oh,
yes,
thank you.
I did.
Yeah, thank you so much. I worked really hard on it. It took like an hour to decorate the tree in real time. In the video, it takes like 5 minutes, but in real life, it took like over an hour, and I had to make cuts because my dad kept trying to wiggle in and rearrange. But it was good because I think his love for decorating came back. He saw me decorating the tree and he couldn't help like getting involved. And now I went over there yesterday and I said, Dad, I found more pumpkin stuff for like the credenza by the tree. And he's like, oh, you're gonna bring it down? Like, he wants to decorate it.
Yes.
So we're trying to convince my dad to have his Halloween party next year, and I think this Halloween tree video sparked his love again.
Yes. Yeah, well, because you didn't tell him that he kind of lost his love a little bit between COVID
I think it's my fault because I went on a cruise, a wrestling cruise one year, and I was like, we can't have the party, I'm going to be gone. And then the next year, something else happened, and the next year it was COVID. And this was like, just hell.
Well, this was COVID plus Ida together.
Hurricane Ida. So yeah, lots of crazy things happening, and I thought my dad just didn't care anymore. In fact, I was like, happy first day of fall, and I was like, you used to care about this time of year. And he's like, maybe you care too much. And I'm like, no, he's lost it. But no, it's coming back. All he has to do is see somebody start to decorate, and he saw the finished product and could see the twinkle. Like, he was like, I want my house to be decorated for this time. It was
Her
like
house is fabulous during Halloween time, especially when they throw their parties.
Next year, I gotta try to convince him.
Yeah.
Because it's gotta happen. It'll be great. And if I do, like I said to you guys in past videos, if you have been longtime viewers of mine, I will document the entire process, which will be crazy because it's months and months of work.
Yeah, you start in the summer, don't you?
Like, one year we started before July.
Wow.
Yeah, like for months, and we still weren't ready. Another kind of like sneak peek into the party is that the day of the party, nothing's ever ready. It's never finished. And literally, like, we have a whole bunch of decorations down. They're in bags and stuff. And my dad's just like out of gas by then. And I'm the one, I go around the house and I'm like, oh crap. And I'm like throwing everything in our cars, throwing stuff back in the attic. Like, I am like trying so hard to do it, and then the doorbell rings, and I'm shoving stuff in. So this year, like whatever year is gonna be our last year, whether it's next year or the year after.
You may have to start in like May.
I told him, I was like, we don't even have Christmas that year. Go all the way through. Just do Halloween. We start decorating all year long. Don't even. He likes decorating for Christmas too, so that's hard to ask him to stop doing that too. But I'm like, don't do it just for 1 year, and maybe we can actually be ready on the day of the party. So that's lots for you guys to look forward to. I know it's like stories you probably don't care about, but if you like Halloween and decorations, I think you'd enjoy this.
It is wonderful. It's something to see.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's
Every single room in the house, including bathrooms, are decorated in some type of theme related to Halloween or scary movies. It's fabulous.
Every little inch of the house. It's great.
It's fabulous.
I went up into the attic yesterday, and that's where all the Halloween stuff is in, like a lot of bins. It's like a sea of bins. And there's also a trailer outside in our backyard that has more. There's some Christmas in there too, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of good stuff. But Plagued by Vision says, yes, it's the Harpies in the Trees Halloween special. He's a part of it too, by the way.
Yay!
Yeah, and very good video. I just watched it the other day. Awesome. I'm not gonna spoil his. I'm gonna spoil my own. So he says, the story about your dad filled my putrid heart with joy. How nice.
Aww.
Thank you. Yeah, it really made me happy too. I'm like, I'm so glad I did this video.
Yeah, me too.
So it sparked something. But yeah, lots of fun stuff already going on, like the Halloween tree. Like I said, we're reading that for our book club, and I got a lot of reads I'm really excited about. I already read Children of the Corn as part of my readathon. It was one of my stories, and I read it at night, and it was creepy. But I will say, I'd love to compare it to the movie one day. I hope you read it one day so you can compare.
It's really funny because I do this Would You Rather prompt every Wednesday just to get people over the hump of the week and just for fun. And this week it was, would you rather go into a corn maze or go on a hayride? And somebody brought up about, have you ever seen Children of the Corn?
Yeah.
I am not going into
I would go into
corn
the
maze.
corn. I would go into the corn because I don't want to get all itchy in a hayride. So the corn would be fine with me. Plus, I've never done a corn maze, and I want to.
Yeah.
It seems like fun.
Yeah, but it seems like it would also be kind of creepy if you think about it.
That's the fun of it.
You know?
It would definitely be creepy.
And
I mean, Malachi is one of the best characters of all time in the movie. He is different in the book a little bit in that it's just completely different.
I mean, cornfields in general are kind of creepy if you think about it. I mean, they have scary stories. Had the whole thing with the cornfield. Scarecrows. What is it? Jeepers Creepers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's not really a corn maze, but it's like cornfield. And then even there's a Twilight Zone one where the little kid sends everybody to the cornfield. I don't know what happens to him when he gets to cornfield. I don't want to find out. But yeah, Children of the Corn is really.
Yeah, I mean, I love that movie.
Super
it's one of my
creepy.
favorite, like, Halloween movies. It kills me every year to not watch it. Like, I think I just watched it last year or the year before. And Paul, like, he'll always be like, didn't you just watch that? And I'm like, so I have to space out my rewatches even more, which I'm trying to do anyway, so I can watch new things, like Silver Bullet, which I should have saw a long time ago.
Right.
But Children of the Corn, perfection to me. I love all the corniness. There is some corniness in it, but I love that too. Well, I mean, in two ways. They're corniness. But I mean, like, cheesiness. But, so Dana says, and this is a great point, I want to point this out, have you seen the illustrated version of the Halloween tree? It's so pretty. I totally agree. I love that film. It's so beautiful. It's wonderfully animated. So that's something to put on your list for the future, Kat, if you haven't seen it. It's marvelous.
Yeah, I'll have to check
I think
it out.
Leonard Nimoy narrates, or does a voice in it, and Ray Bradbury narrates.
Oh, wow.
So it's really neat. I would say definitely check it out. But the animation really is what shines, in my opinion. Like, when they show the actual tree, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I would totally check it out, because I watched it a couple years ago, and I was like, yeah. So, I get excited about Halloween decorations and Halloween movies and books, too.
There's just so much.
There is, and there's so much for us to do this year alone as well. So have you, is that all your stories you've caught up on?
Yeah, I mean, I really have not. Normally when I read several things at one time. I mean, I'll have a nonfiction book going, I'll have a adult fiction, and then I'll have either a middle school or YA book going at the same time. So I just figured, I'll go ahead and I'll read a short story, then I'll have my middle grade book that I've chosen, and then adult fiction. And I'll just be reading, all three of them at the same time. Well, that has not happened yet.
Understandably so.
It is. And we had a plan. I had a plan at least. And my plan is just has to be replanned.
It's gone to hell, the original plan.
It has, but the reason it has to is for such a great reason, and I'm excited about it.
You
so
should be.
I am excited.
It's an awesome thing.
Right. Well, but I almost, it's one of those things you wish you had like 2020, like hindsight is 2020, because had I known that
it was
this
your
was
idea for the
coming up
readathon in this month.
in the future, I think I would have really, between the first day of fall and Sunday when I got the, invite to be a part of the show,
maybe.
I think I would have read more, or I would have watched more, or
Well, you didn't know.
I didn't know, but it's going to work out. I mean, I truly think I will have time. It's not like I told you, my next rehearsal, I don't have to be there till 8:15.
Yeah, you could.
So guess what? I'm going to be reading or watching a movie.
Perfect.
Probably
Utilize
reading.
your time.
Probably reading.
It takes longer.
Yeah, it takes longer to do that. And I mean, I have pretty much my weekends until the show, actually opens. So that's going to be my movie watching, I think.
Yes, you got to pile it on the weekends for sure.
Yeah, in fact, later this evening, I'm going to watch another movie.
I'm going to watch another movie this evening as well. Maybe two. My whole goal for the weekend, I'm like, movies! And I'm going to try to read too, but definitely movies. I would love to get to like 15 movies out of 31. That would be a real feat.
Yeah, that would be nice.
By the end of the weekend. I don't know. That's a lot. So I'm at 10. I'd have to watch 5 more. That's a lot.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, that would
maybe
be...
by Monday night, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's still difficult. So anyway, so I started my next book. So like I said, I'm in the middle of Cabal, but I'm also reading, I always get confused which one it is. Halloween Night by R.L. Stein. I almost couldn't remember if it was Halloween Party or Halloween Night because there is a book called Halloween Party, but it's Halloween Night. And that's the one I just started. I'm like 20 pages in. Trashy YA goodness from the 90s in a good way. I don't mean it in a negative way. Very simple, but that's what makes it fun and quick.
I can't wait to read Night of the Living Dummy by R.L. Stein.
Oh, yes. Goosebumps are so much fun. I wish I was reading one for our readathon, but I'm reading other like middle grade books like Monster Street, which I have over there. I'm going to read The Halloweeners, which I'm so pumped for. I've heard great things from Cameron Chaney, so I value his opinion. I think he knows middle grade pretty well.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, and I think it's going to be good. I've got a whole bunch. I got my little Halloween stack on one of my shelves right over here on, like, these shelves you can't see, but I can't wait.
Yeah, and speaking of Cameron, we really have to give a shout-out to him for Autumn Crow.
Oh, yes. We just read that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we did that was thematic.
Yes, we started that. We actually, I read only one short story on the first day of fall, and then finished. That's what I was reading.
Yeah,
leading
but that was
up
really
to
cool.
Halloween.
You were reading like a story a day,
yeah,
right?
so I was trying to read Autumn Crow, a story each day leading up to the first day of October. That was what I was doing. So it wasn't like I wasn't reading anything. But I loved it. I thought Autumn Crow was wonderful. Every story, is set in Autumn Crow, and then they have like parts, people, events, just some kind of reference, one story to the other. It's like a little gossamer thread.
I love that, yeah.
ties everything together. So,
and I did think that was unique because a lot of story collections by one author, well, obviously story collections by multiple authors, those are going to be random a lot of times. Sometimes there's a theme, but a lot of times there isn't. Whether it's multiple authors or one, but Cameron went the other direction, and I love how the name kind of symbolizes what most of the stories, are involved with.
Yes.
It's in the town of Autumn Crow. And it was so fun visiting that fictional town.
It was.
I'd love to live there. Even though a lot of scary things happen there, a lot of fun things, like if you remember the story Crypt TV, that made it seem like Autumn Crow was a fun place, for kids on Halloween.
Well, and it made it, even the people that live in Autumn Crow, for the most part, love living there. Even though they know that these crazy things happen, because it almost seems like things come from outside of Autumn Crow to make things scary in Autumn Crow. Yeah. But
in some aspects, yeah. I just thought it was the perfect read to kick off the season.
And I think it would be
I'm not just saying that.
It would be the perfect the stories would be a perfect little anthology, or even you could make it into like a film. Yeah. So it would be something I would want to watch.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was just so well done, and I can't wait for his new book, which is called Autumn Crow High, and it's going to be like a series of books. Different feel in terms of the audience, because this was definitely an adult book, Autumn Crow, because there was some gore and graphic stuff, but still some nostalgic and also melancholy stuff all mixed in. So I talk about this at length, and actually Kat also gives her review of Autumn Crow in my latest video that I did before this. my Autumn Crow reading vlog, which is also a travel vlog as well. And I will warn everyone, I know the intro is long. Like, I do this intro where I talk about it for a little while, and then I talk about my travels, like what I did. But I didn't want to just show the travel footage without any explanation, because there was, reasoning behind some of the stuff I did in Boston while reading Autumn Crow.
Well, it was all related to Halloween.
A lot of it was. I mean, some of it wasn't, like the games I had to go to because my boyfriend wanted to, which I was just like, whatever,
Well, but you had to go to the games in order to do the Halloween-related activities.
It's a give and a take.
So,
I will say
everybody's got to pay a price.
I like the Reds. I like a lot of Boston teams, so I like the Red Sox. And I gotta say, so I went to this football game, and I kind of I don't even care about football, but I was like pretending to Paul. I was like, this is my team now, because they came out to my favorite band, the Dropkick Murphys.
Oh, wow.
Which really is silly, because every team in Boston plays the Dropkick Murphys, because they've got a song about Boston. They're like a Celtic rock band kind of thing. So they all like the Dropkick Murphys, because it's a whole thing. They're from Boston, and they're like pro Boston. So anyway, it's dumb to just say that I would go, that's my college, but I mean, obviously our college is my college, so we went to the same college but at different times. I went to
UNO.
Yeah, University of New Orleans.
But
they don't have sports.
Well, they have sports, they're just not on the same level as
LSU
or Tulane or...
So it was that was my makeup school, I guess, for sports. Right. I was just joking with Paul, this is my school now, I'm not gonna root for your school, Florida, because he went to Florida. The Gators. But yeah, it was a whole big thing. So that I enjoyed that game because of the Dropkick Murphys song, and that was I made it into a thing. But other than that, I had to give my explanations, and that's why, as you can see, I drag out everything, and that is why my intro was long. But once you get into the vlog footage, I think you guys would like it. So.
Oh, look, Dana said that they read the Haunted Mask
1 and 2 every single Halloween. Best Goosebumps books ever. And I do think that the adaptation, do you remember that one? They made it into 2-part episode of Goosebumps, but they sold it as a VHS, as a movie, all together. So they pieced the 2 episodes together.
Oh, wow.
And I have the VHS. It's wonderful. I agree with you, Dana. It is a great Goosebumps. It's one of the Goosebumps books I actually read, although I'd like to reread it because I don't remember it very... I remember the movie, more than the book.
And then Dana's watching The House October Built.
Oh, yeah. Aren't you watching that too?
I think so.
Yeah, that's on her list for movies, I believe. Also, we've got Bored Now joining us. Thank you so much. He says, happy spooky season, guys and girls. Thank you so much, Bored Now. And Bored Now says tries to watch a movie a day, sometimes 2. Watched a crazy film called Spookies. Oh yeah, I heard about Spookies. I've actually never seen it. Try to do some horror reading too. Yeah, it's hard to get the reading and the movie watching it at the same time.
It is, and kudos to you for being able to do 1 or 2 in a day.
I do too. A lot of the days I watch a movie, I plan to. I know you don't like to do 2 in a row.
I just don't. I mean, the time. To be able to do that. Maybe on the weekend I could get away with doing 2, but... I do it on the weeknights. I'm like, no.
Especially if Paul's up for it, I'm like, yes, Toon Movie Night. It's great. October's my month.
Although I have to say, The House on Haunted Hill was only 75 minutes.
Oh, that's short.
It was short.
One of mine was short, too, Mr. Boogedy.
If I would have started a little bit earlier, I probably could have gotten 2 in.
Yeah, probably. But I do want to circle back to Autumn Crow. I hope you guys check out the vlog, because I worked really hard on editing it. It took me 12 hours to edit. It was the most painful editing. I don't know why. There's a whole bunch of reasons why, but I really wanted it to be good too, because I really cared about the book, and I was really pleased with it. So I was like, I want this vlog to be good, but then the intro was really long, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Anyway, so just get through the intro if you're interested, please.
Yeah, don't give up. Don't give up in the intro.
I hope I'm not that boring where people are just like, let's tune out. That'd be terrible. I'd be very sad. But we appreciate you guys watching, especially on videos like today's video. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
So much fun when somebody's actually in the chat talking with us. So especially you guys in the chat right now, thank you. You made it even better to just, because it was fun talking nonetheless. Even if it was just me and Kat and nobody in the chat, it would have been fun regardless. But they make it extra fun.
Yeah, I think so. And we appreciate the suggestions. We appreciate the comments. I
do want to say, Dana said Haunt is a great newer horror movie. I watched it last year. It's amazing. I agree with you. Bored Now. Oh, I'm sorry, not Dana. No, it is Dana. Dana said that. And Bored Now said, still enjoy a good VHS tape like The Haunted Mask. I do too. Also, plan on reading Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, very nice. That's Shirley Jackson. Yeah.
I have not read that. I have not either.
And they're supposed to be having they have a what is it, a Netflix series
yes.
based on it, and I haven't seen it because I haven't read the book yet, but I've heard great things about
the series is amazing.
the
I have
series.
seen the series. I have not read the book. I have read a Shirley Jackson book. I've read We Have Always Lived in the Castle. It was okay. I don't want to say too much because people are like, you're it's blasphemy, because like everyone loves that book, but I just felt like, I don't know, it was so hyped, and I was like, I don't know.
Well, do you think because it was so hyped? You know, sometimes when too many people, they give you so many expectations, these high expectations, and then you go in expecting it to be this most awesome thing you've ever read in your life or seen. That happens to me with movies sometimes.
I'm
and
relieved
then,
that didn't happen with Autumn Crow. Because I had really high expectations because of everyone, like, you know, in the community, a lot of them have read it, and then just knowing Cameron and the quality of his channel, so my expectations were like beyond high, but I'm happy to report that my expectations were met and exceeded.
Yes.
So, phew.
Yeah, I went in with not really any expectations except that, you know, I was going to have, you know, a Halloween experience. You know, you can definitely tell that Cameron loves Halloween.
Yeah,
and that he knows his stuff.
It oozes Halloween. The whole book, every story. I loved it. I will say the last story doesn't ooze Halloween as much because it's more of a republished novella, and I say that in my vlog, in my little kind of review.
It was still good. It was, you know, even though it didn't take place in Autumn Crow, I mean, it was a good standalone.
It was.
I just enjoyed, you know, the whole point of the monsters. You know, like really, who is the monster? You know,
that's what makes you like question, like, oh, that's really interesting.
The monsters really the monsters, or the humans really the monsters?
It was very like psychological, made you think for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of fun stuff, and it's only October freaking 9th.
I know.
So imagine, like, you're like getting overwhelmed and getting stressed, but you've already accomplished a lot. So you should feel like really excited, and you've got even more fun stuff coming with the play. I've accomplished a lot. So already, I think our spooky season is off to a good start, and I hope you guys are too.
Yes, and if you haven't checked out our vlog of last weekend's Halloween festivities, I mean, really, if you think about it, we had a jam-packed day.
Yeah.
And did a lot of things that we had on a Halloween fun list. So
in one day.
Yes, in one day.
Yeah, we went shopping, we showed our shopping haul, we freaking baked cookies, we had thematic tea, and we actually had tea today too, but of course we didn't vlog today. We just kind of hung out and then decided to do this live stream.
And then we watched a movie together, which that's always enjoyable
when
we can pick one together. So yeah, I mean, I think we're off to a good start. I'm contemplating cocktails. My husband talked to me about a salted caramel Martini.
Hell yeah.
And
you gotta go for it.
I think salted caramel would fall into,
yeah,
like, I mean, it's not like Halloween theme, but it's fallish.
It's very fallish. It reminds me of, caramel apples. I don't know. It totally
So anyway, that's
me.
going to be one of the, I think one of the recipes that I try is a salted caramel martini. But I'm still looking for different martinis because I'm not a big drinker, but I do love to have a cocktail occasionally, and I like trying new stuff, and especially if it's thematic. So.
Well, I am a big drinker, and I like to have thematic beer quite a bit. And also last year I had like flavored liqueur that was like pumpkin flavored.
Oh, wow.
It was a little bottle, like it was a sampler. I kind of want to go back and get it. It was that good.
Yeah. Well, and I got some pumpkin spice coffee and some praline pecan coffee also.
My coffee game, I dropped the ball. I didn't get any pumpkin coffee yet.
What?
It's weird. I've got tons of pumpkin tea, but no coffee.
Community Coffee, which is a local coffee distributor here in Louisiana, they have a bunch of limited edition flavors, and the pumpkin spice is one of them, as well as the praline pecan.
I'll have to try that. I think I've gotten it in the past, just I didn't buy any bags this year. I will have to fix that for sure. Plagued by Vision said he's going to watch something called Kindred on VHS from 1987. Oh, wow. Some weird baby creature feature. Looks wild. It sounds wild. Just from the baby creature feature part, I was like, that sounds weird but cool.
Yeah.
Dana says she makes candy corn vodka.
What?
But she hates candy corn on its own. No, there are candy corn haters like Dana out there.
Well, I can eat candy corn only like a couple, and then after a while, I'm just like, okay, I've had enough.
No, not me. I have to stop myself. I've got like a bag of pumpkin candy corn out there. It's my second bag this season.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's my second bag.
You're going to turn into candy corn.
I am. And I love the colors.
What if you can morph your head into a candy corn?
That'd be fun. My little witch hat, if you guys watch our vlog, you'll see this ridiculous headband. Kat thinks it's cute. I think it's ridiculous because it's very tiny. Anyway, it's a very small witch hat, which kind of looks like a mini candy corn. If it was the right color.
Right.
Yeah, but it's the shape of a candy corn. Just imagine my head as that witch hat.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying a candy corn martini?
Oh my god, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm
she
saying.
said vodka.
Vodka.
But I would just make a martini.
Yeah, with candy corn.
You could rim the glass with candy corn. Crushed candy corn.
Wow.
I'm sure it exists. I bet you could Google it.
Yeah, I'll have to try that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Plagued by Vision, spooky season is in full motion. Hell yeah!
Yeah.
And I know I was watching a YouTube video the other day of Story Time, and they said, like, it's our time. Like this season, and I was like, that really that's how I feel.
And
it's
then
our time.
I don't know if it was you that had posted this or someone else on Facebook. There was a picture of someone with a Michael Myers mask, and they're holding up a sign like we should always have Halloween off, and they're like holding it like they're protesting.
I can't remember if I did. I might have done that. I don't remember though.
I'm thinking,
but I agree.
Yeah.
Why don't we have Halloween off? Why do we get Christmas and not Halloween?
This year it's on Sunday, so I mean, you would take. Well, you might not. Are you working on Halloween?
Oh, I took it off.
Oh, thank goodness.
I have the option, so I freelance on the weekends, but so they asked my availability at the beginning of the month, and I was like, I'm busy. It's Halloween. Yeah. And then Paul's like, I'm working, and I'm like, well, I refuse to work on Halloween, so no.
Well, the sad thing for me is in Hammond, where I live, which is about an hour away from Kelsi, my community sometimes changes when Halloween takes place.
Like for the community.
Yes, I mean, we literally missed Halloween one year because we had just moved there and my oldest son was going to school here on the South Shore, and we chose to go to a party. Well, come to find out, we missed it. So the next day, my really good friend said, we're going to just go crash a subdivision, in a neighboring town. So we did on the actual Halloween. Because I'm like, who changes Halloween? Do y'all change Christmas and Thanksgiving too?
No!
But anyway, they do a lot of times because Halloween kind of falls around homecoming. And then I think also too, because of some of the churches in the area, they don't really celebrate Halloween. They celebrate more like harvest. And so the community, because it's smaller, they can do that.
Well,
but
also, people are very, aware now of kids staying out too late or what days they go out.
That's true.
It ends earlier. It's just, it's so different. I know it's a lot different from when, my parents were younger, but it's even different from when I was younger in the 90s. That's not that long ago,
right.
But it's so different even from then.
It is different. So, I remember us just going, it didn't matter what day Halloween was. You went out and you trick-or-treated, and you just
It doesn't matter if it was a Tuesday or a Saturday.
Right.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And people would stay out late. People wouldn't be afraid for their kids to go alone. It's just so different and sad. Don't get me on this tangent. I don't want to end it on a sad note. So we will focus on the positive, that everything's off to a great start.
Yes.
We appreciate you guys, as we said before. Hopefully you guys liked the video. If so, please actually leave a like. That would really help the analytics.
Yes,
stupid algorithms. We really appreciate you guys watching nonetheless. Thanks for being here. But for this time, I think that's it for us. Do you have anything else to add?
No, that's it. Just, keep doing everything Halloween related that you have on your lists.
And yeah, always, you could always comment on my videos, what you're up to. And also Kat's blog. Kat has a wonderful blog. I have it linked already. It's in the description as of right now. I don't have to go back and link it later. I will have to link all these other videos later. But Kat has it. It's right there in the description right now. Kat has a wonderful blog, as I said. And there's some Halloween posts as of now.
So stay spooky. Watch lots of horror movies. Read lots of horror or scary books. Eat lots of pumpkin spice treats.
Yes, it's our time to reiterate.
Burn candles that smell autumn-like.
Yeah. I love all that. It's amazing. I'm already getting excited just about all the things I'm going to do for the rest of the weekend even. So thanks again, guys. Like I said, for this time, it's it for us. But till next time, keep on killing it, guys. Thank you. Bye.